Hi, good day. Joseph Atta is my name. Speaking to you live from Ghana, West Africa. I am in Taprade, using my own room as a recording studio. I welcome all my viewers from all over the world, Australia, USA, Dubai, Nigeria, everywhere in Ghana and in the world. You are welcome. Thank you so much for viewing my videos, both YouTube and then Facebook. Please follow my page, Mining for the Truth, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Joseph Atta's Live Show. You can see my table net is there. Greetings to Apa Ebenezer. He suggested that I have to add biscuits to my water and the malt. So you could see that I have my biscuits, my malt, Guinness precisely, and then my Verna purified water. In case of emergency, then at least they can quench my thirst. And in case I'm hungry too, they can help me to regain my strength. Thank you, Apa, for your suggestion. I see it as an advice. Of course, it makes my table more beautiful. Some have been asking in case I don't have any library. I have a library, but I've chosen not to use it. Actually, I can have it behind me or the background. It makes the presentation more beautiful. I have a library, but for some reasons it will be used later. All right. What do I have for you? Last week we treated the Christian girl and Hollywood. The Christian girl and Hollywood. 2 Corinthians 4 verse 4a. That the God of this age has blinded or has blindfolded the unbelievers. People are liking the video much. Thank you so much. They have been liking, they have been sharing. In fact, I'm impressed. In case you want to donate, my number is 0248 026557. 0248 026557. And if you want to comment, you can also comment on the video. We are learning. Officially, we are learning. And I'm not here to attack anybody. Now, the Bible, in case you are attacked by the Bible, that means you are at a fault. Yes. So my purpose here is not to intentionally attack someone, but to speak the naked truth. Fact is information without emotion. So that's what we refer to as naked truth. So if you're offended, none of my business. They have to contend with God. Of course, you're a human being, and you should remove pride from your heart. No one is above God, and none or no knowledge is above the Bible. And at the end, we will all be judged by the Bible. Not money, wealth, what you acquired in this life, but by the Bible. No matter who you are, you'll be judged by the Bible, whether you like it or you don't like it. Now we are in chapter 6, and the topic is football, gambling, and betting. Football, gambling, and betting. Ephesians 4 verse 28. Proverbs 13 verse 11. So let's go to the Bible verses. I have two, of course. New King James Version and then the ESV. Ephesians 4 verse 28. I read, "Let him who steals steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing that is good, so that he may have something to give to him who has need." I repeat myself. Let him who steals steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing that is good, so that he may have something to give to him who has need. Proverbs 13 verse 11. I read, "Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. Now, if you read the King James Version, it is saying that wealth gained through dishonesty will diminish. Wealth gained through dishonesty will diminish. But whoever gathers little by little will increase it. So the question here is that the thief must stop stealing and avoid dishonest gain. Why am I using these quotations for football, gambling, and betting? It is so wide. So let's look at the objectives. 1. Brief exegesis of 2 Corinthians 6, verse 14 to 17. We also have B. What is football? 11 reasons why watching football can be a sin. C. What is gambling? 6 major areas of the Bible conflicting with gambling. D. Brief definition of betting. E. 11 reasons why gambling is a sin. F. The 12 hazards and consequences of gambling and betting. Then G. The 7 rehabilitation for overcoming football, gambling, and betting as a junkie. So I have about 7 objectives for today's lesson. So this should tell you that it will be lengthy. Now, by introduction, we say that deny ungodliness, and worldly lust, in order to live sensibly in righteousness and godly in this present age. Titus 2, verse 4. And in summary, the Christian must be sensible. The Christian must be sensible. If you're a Christian, you must be sensible enough. That's the essence of Christianity. Titus 2, verse 12. Teaching that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live sensibly, righteously, and godly in this present age. Deny ungodliness and worldly lust in order to live sensibly in righteousness and godly in this present age. Now, the Greek word for sensibly, some versions will use soberly, is sophronos, which depicts with sound mind. So sophronos, being sensibly or soberly, as the Greek word, means with sound mind. Now, to be in sound mind implies to avoid sinful behaviors. If you are sensible, if you are in sound mind, I mean, as a rational human being, I'm not a normal human being, you will live to avoid sinful behaviors. All behaviors that are sinful, this person is going to avoid. To live with self-control, morality, and godliness. Anyone who is sensible, strives to live a life which is self-control. Means that he is not influenced, or she is not influenced by the pleasures of the world. Being money, future plans, technology, whatever. The person is not influenced. Then you say you have self-control, morality. The person is morally upright. And then godliness. He tries by force to be righteous with God. So I'm giving you 2 reasons when you are with sound mind, as we just read from Titus 2, verse 12. That the Christian must be sensible, to exercise his brain to discern both good and evil. Hebrews 5, verse 14b. The Christian must be sensible to exercise his brain. When you are sensible, it's when you can exercise your brain. So the Christian must be sensible to exercise the brain, to discern, to segment, to segregate, to differentiate, to disintegrate both good and evil. Hebrews 5, verse 14b. sense is not a flower. The common sense is a flower that does not grow in the garden of foods. The common sense is a flower that does not grow in the garden of foods or in the gardens of foods. So if you're a fool, there's no way you have common sense in your garden. We mean your system. There's no way you're going to have a common sense. James 1 verse 5 is saying that if you need wisdom, ask God, because he gives it liberally. The Greek word for wisdom there is Sophia, which means the application of knowledge, understanding, and common sense. Sense is common, but not common to apply. We all have brains in our heads, but not all are able to utilize it well. That's why we're saying that sense is common, but not common to apply. And common sense is a flower that does not grow in the garden of foods or in the gardens of foods. So if you're a fool, there's no way you're going to have a common sense in your system. So you have read the point. We are still on the introduction. B. Football is a god that people worship. Football as a sport, it's a god, G-O-D. I mean small G-O-D. It's a god that people worship. If it is a good sport, why did betting originate from it? Football is a good sport, as we have some Christians to buttress that football is a good sport. Of course, for example, the person will say that I see nothing wrong watching football. I'm watching for entertainment. Oh, very good. Better defense. If it's a good sport, if you're watching for entertainment, why did betting originate from it? The players, people bet on their teams, okay? The players that they have been betting on them are forbidden to stake bets themselves. No player is allowed to stake bets. Meanwhile, we are participants who are watching the match, rather staking bets, but the players themselves have been forbidden never to stake bets. If betting is good, why are players disallowed to stake? Betting is good. Why are the players who are playing the game, the sport in which you are watching to detain yourself, as you are saying, disallowed to stake bets? This generation lacks wisdom and discernment. This very generation, the first century generation, lacks wisdom and discernment. And thinking that stupid things are good means that you are being played by Satan and he's using you as his mannequin. A mannequin is a dummy, meaning a stupid person used for advertisement. So Satan is using you. If you are thinking that stupid things are good, then it means that you are being manipulated by Satan as his mannequin for advertisement. And mannequin is a dummy used for advertisement. Dummy means someone who is stupid. Of course, if you have common sense, you'll be taking bets anyway. Even the monies that place generates, okay? Even the monies that place generates for charity work is still sinful. Romans 3 verse 8. I will prove every point using the Bible. And why not say, as we are slanderously reported, and as some affirm that we say, let us do evil that good may come. So it's a question. Should you do evil for good to come out of it? Football is not a good game or good sport. So therefore, you do not sell cocaine. If you're a cocaine dealer and you are caught, you go to jail. Irrespective of a charity work, whether you are feeding the community, sponsoring a whole university, it is crime punishable. Likewise, football. So no matter what the players will do from their monies, where is it coming from? Does God like football? I mean, our Almighty God. Do they like football or not? God will not create a talent against himself and the Bible. So some will ignorantly say that this person has talent. God has given him talent to play football. What do you mean by that? What do you know about talent? What do you mean by talent? Common sense. No. Before that. Now the Bible condemns lesbianism, tattooing. Now, before that, we are saying that football is a sport with its culture against the Bible. The culture of football is against the Bible. Once again, we are saying that God will not create a talent against himself and the Bible. Never ever. And we continue by saying that football is a sport with its culture strictly against indecency. Now, football. Now, the Bible condemns lesbianism, tattooing, piercing, ruffian haircuts, and indecency. And common sense must judge you that all football stars are antichrist since they are all believers. Every football star is an antichrist. An antichrist is a believer. You die in your sins and go to hell at the end of final judgment. Yes. No believer goes to heaven. Unless you're a Christian. A Christian is not a believer. A believer is not a Christian. You go to my videos and watch what is a Christian. Then you see this there. That a believer is not a Christian. So if you're a believer, don't think that you are going to heaven. You have no heaven to go. And all the footballers, almost all of them, are antichrist. Why? Because they are all believers. And idolizing footballers and using some as wallpaper and status is worldliness and foolishness. If you're a Christian, any Christian who uses a footballer's image by posting him on his WhatsApp, by posting him YouTube, Facebook, any social media, liking them, means that you are a fool and also you are in the world. What's the purpose of doing that? What is the reason for doing that? Are you portraying Christ or portraying Antichrist? A footballer is an Antichrist. Have no fellowship with them. Period. Why should you post them? Based on what? That they are doing charity. That they are building mansions. And so what? You are propagating the false doctrines of Satan. At least you can use a biblical text. You can write something to post on your media. We use the phone or the media to also share the word of God. But you are using it for Satan. So he's saying that and idolizing footballers and using some as wallpaper and status is worldliness and foolishness. The Christian does not yoke together with unbelievers to watch football. The Christian does not yoke together with unbelievers to watch football. 2 Corinthians 6, verse 14 to 17. And what do you mean by it is a game? And then I watch for fun. What do you mean by that? That is a game. Who told you that? That you have the right to use your eyes to watch what you want. Now 2 Corinthians 6, verse 14. Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness? And what fellowship has light with darkness? And what agreement has Christ with Belial? Or what part has he who believes with unbeliever? Verse 16. And what union has the temple of God with idols? For you are the temple of the living God. Just as God has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. Verse 17. Therefore, come out from among them and be separate, says the Lord, and do not touch what is unclean, and I will receive you. Therefore, come out from among them and be separate. This is what I'm going to explain very soon. Therefore, come out from among them and be separate. The Christian does not mingle with unbelievers to watch football. Supposing that you die, I mean there's an accident and then you die, they will say that those who were watching football, do you think that you can preach to them when they're watching football? If you're a Christian watching football with them, how can you go to them later to preach that they should refrain from the world or worldliness? They will refer to you as they refer to Lot in Sodom, that you were once here to watch with us. So why have you turned? In fact, it will take you so many efforts to convince them that you didn't know. But of course, some might have known that you are a Christian. Come out from among them and be separate. That's all. The Christian does not mingle or unite with Antichrist to watch football match. The Christian who cannot effect a change amidst sinners is a useless sort. Matthew 5 verse 13. You are the salt of the earth. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt has lost its flavor, how will it be salted? It is no longer good for anything except to be cast out and trampled underfoot by men. The Christian who cannot effect a change amidst sinners is a useless sort. So if you're a Christian who mingles to watch football with unbelievers, you are a useless sort and cannot brighten the world from darkness. It's valueless. Matthew 5 verse 14 to 16. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do men light a lamp, verse 15, and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Verse 16. Let your light so shine before men. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. But here you are. You have lighted your lamp and kept it under a table. And therefore you are in the same darkness with them. Meanwhile, you are supposed to go there to shine, to brighten, to glorify God. The death that will kill a man begins as an appetite. A Proverbs 14 verse 12 and 16 verse 25. Proverbs 14 verse 12. There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way to death. So, same thing can be seen in Proverbs 16 verse 25. I love challenge, so I prefer to prove every point in the Bible. There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death, or the way to death, sorry. You sit down somewhere and challenge to debate that a football is my means of entertainment. Some will debate that, okay, for now I've been saying that if you watch with unbelievers, you are equally antichrist. And what if you watch in your own room? I'll come to that. I'll give you 11 reasons why watching football can be a sin. So I'll be there. Any Christian who cannot flee worldliness has no salvation. Any Christian who cannot flee worldliness has no salvation. See, the gambler is a junkie. any gambler is a junkie. Most people have become junkies due to gambling. Now, someone will be quickly to say that, but the same matter is insulting else. You see, words don't have just one meaning. Initially, when you mention junkie, they want to make reference to someone who is drug addict and others. No. A junkie is not always, or the notion about hearing junkie as a word, it's not always about someone who is into drugs. No. Now let's define from this name. A junkie is someone who is ardently, when we say so, and we mean keenly. So, a junkie is someone who is so ardently devoted to something that it resembles an addiction. That's why I said that a gambler is a junkie. Gambling is addictive, of course. We have more of this down there. And even those who are taking the gambling companies have a motto: gambling is addictive. That's why I'm saying that a gambler is a junkie. A gambler is addicted to taking bets. And there's no turning back. No turning back for the gambler. Once again, the gambler is a junkie. Most people have become junkies due to gambling or betting. A junkie is someone who is so ardently, when we say ardent, we mean keen, devoted to something that it resembles an addiction. And every gambler knows gambling is addictive, as quoted by gambling companies, their slave masters. So you, the gambler, your slave master, who has enslaved you to stake betting, is saying that gambling is addictive. Why do you still gamble? Because Satan has taken you into captivity or a bondage. Okay, so I was trying to warm up. Of course, I'm done with the introduction. So let's go to the exegesis of 2 Corinthians 6, verse 14 to 17. Now, I'm going to explain it as a contextual summary. A context. So contextual summary. It begins with Paul's command to the Corinthians not to be unequally yoked with unbelievers. So Paul was trying to exhort the Christians in Corinth. Light and darkness cannot be in fellowship. Christ and Satan cannot work together. Christians are God's temple on earth, since His Spirit lives or dwells in them. So once you are a Christian, the Spirit of God is upon you. Yesterday, someone called and then was asking me that, why the Christian girl and Hollywood? Why Hollywood? Then I said, my sister, I don't know how I got a topic. Of course, I don't do things on my own. Yes. So that was my explanation to her, that I don't know how I got the topic, the Christian girl and Hollywood. So it was by divine intervention. So if you are a Christian, God's Spirit dwells in you, as I'm sitting here. That is why they must separate themselves from any kind of binding relationship with unbelievers. So Paul was simply saying that, my brothers, you are Christians, don't unite with unbelievers, because the Spirit of God dwells in you. Therefore, God and Satan do not meet together. That's why he said, therefore, come out from among them and be separate. Now, what do you mean by that? One, we are on verse 14. Let me read and then I will explain. 2 Corinthians 6, verse 14. Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness? And what fellowship has light with darkness. Now, this means that walking asymptotically with unbelievers. The Christian must walk asymptotically. So Paul was admonishing brethren in Corinth that they should walk asymptotically. Now the Greek word asymptotos means not falling together. And when of course I did engineering and then I practiced engineering. Now in geometric drawing we have two types of lines. We have parallel lines and then we have asymptotic lines. So an asymptotic line is a straight line continually approached by a curve but never meets. An asymptotic line in terms of geometric drawing is a straight line. It's a straight line continually approached by a curve but never meets. They will go but they will never meet. That's the essence of asymptotos. Not falling together as the Greek word. We are trying to explain 2 Corinthians 6 verse 14. It also refers to lines that never meet even at infinity. So we are still on the asymptotic line. It is a line which does not meet even at infinity. So they will go and go and go and go, but they will never meet or they will never unite. That's what Paul was telling them, brethren, in 2 Corinthians 6 verse 14. The Greek word heterozugo or heterozugio, yoked, the word yoked in Greek is heterozugio. It means to associate this redundancy. Do not be para. Two. Of course, I'm still explaining 2 Corinthians 6 verse 14 to 17 contextually. 2. Verse 15 and 16 of 2 Corinthians. And what union has the temple of God with idols? For you are the temple of the living God. Just as God has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. Verse, sorry. I read the 16, so I'll go to 15. I'm sorry. And what agreement has Christ with Belial? Or what part has he who believes with an unbeliever? Now go to Psalm 1 verse 1. Psalms, if you want, 1 verse 1. Psalms is before Proverbs. So Psalms 1 verse 1. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. So here we are saying that anti-socialization with the ungodly. That's what Paul was referring to in 2 Corinthians 6 verse 15 to 16. Anti-socialization with the ungodly. Do not socialize with them. In Psalm 1 verse 1, the Hebrew word rasha, ungodly, implies morally wrong. Why? Because they are wrong. And chatter, sinners, indicate one accounted guilty, convicted person. And lust, scornful. So the Greek word for scornful is lust, L-U-T-S. Suggests make mockery. They watch the ball and they make fun. They crack useless and dirty jokes. They use filthy languages. You are a Christian and you are dead. Now verse 17 of 2 Corinthians 6. Therefore, come out from among them and be separate. Means that segregation from unbelievers. Now segregation refers to the systematic isolation, detaching, and filtering of an individual from the rest of the society. Segregation refers to the systematic isolation, detaching and filtering. You know filtration of an individual from the rest of the society. The Greek word aphorizo, I mean separate. The Greek word for separate is aphorizo, which proposes to set off boundary. To set off boundary or escape. So it means that there must be a gap. There must be a variance between a sinner and a believer. I mean, a Christian. Ungodliness and godliness. Godly versus ungodly. There must be a barrier, a variance. Now, definition of terms. Football. Football. Now, of course, football is a sport. So, sport is any activity involving physical exertion and skill that is governed by a set of rules or customs and often undertaken competitively. Of course, I'm reading from American Worldliness, American Heritage Dictionary. Sorry. American Heritage Dictionary. That sports, you can say football is an activity involving physical exertion. It involves physicality, okay? I mean strength and skill that is governed by a set of rules or customs and often undertaken competitively. Football is an example of a sport. We have different sports, but my interest will be on football. My interest will be on football. Not everyone is into sports. Yes, I myself, I don't like sports. Some like sports. That's what I'm saying. Not everyone is into sports. In truth, neither enjoying sports nor finding them uninteresting makes one more spiritual or more faithful in the service of the Lord. Yes. So whether I hate football, whether someone likes football, this is not something to brag with. That because I want to be more holier, that's why I don't like football. No. That's why I'm saying that not everyone is into sports. In truth, neither enjoying sports nor finding them uninteresting makes one more spiritual or more faithful in the Lord's service. Yes. So I can hate football, but I will not be righteous. I can hate football, but I will not be committed to the service of the Lord. Some sports are boring, others interesting, so far as no immorality and antichrist are portrayed. Some sports are good, I said good. Some are boring, others are so exciting and entertaining. So far as no immorality and antichrist are portrayed. Now it is possible one can have zero interest in participating in them or watching others play them. Yes, I myself, I don't know the names of players precisely nowadays. Yes, I don't know them. The teams they play, where they play their football, I am unaware. I am not interested. So it is possible one can have zero interest in participating in them or watching others play them. One of the most popular watched and liked sports is football. That's why my interest is on football. It is the most widely watched. I mean, the whole world. When it's a football match, almost every country is watching football, except some countries in which they are banned, of which I don't know. And of course, I don't follow football. One can love football, but so here are the 11 reasons why football can be a sin. I found in my point B 11 reasons why watching football can be a sin. Please, a moment. Okay, thank you for your patience. Okay, so my daughter's advices, as we are always reading, we are advised or taught not to feel tasty before we drink water. One can love football, but one, never become a person who loves pleasure more than loving God. 2 Timothy 3 verse 1 to 4. 2 Timothy 3 verse 1 to 4. Okay. 2 Timothy 3 verse 1 to 4. Know this also, that in the last days, perilous times will come. For men will be lovers of themselves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemous, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, unloving, irreconcilable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, haters of good, treacherous, reckless, conceited, lovers of pleasures rather than lovers of God. So the first point here is can. Reasons why football or watching football can be a sin, or loving football can be a sin. Can be a sin. So listen carefully before you get me wrong. So never become a person who loves pleasure more than loving God. 2, never think more about sports than for heaven. Never think more about sports than for heaven. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 1 and 2 means that your interest is on football than your own salvation. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 1 to 2. For we know that if our earthly house of this tent is destroyed, we have a burden from God, a house not made with hands, that is eternal in the heavens. Verse 2. For in this house we groan earnestly, earnestly desiring to be clothed with our house that is from heaven. Now, point 3. Do not debate or argue about sports than Jesus and his gospel. Please, here are where you must listen well. Acts 8 verse 5. Acts 8 verse 5 and 35. Of course, here the apostles have been started by Paul. And let's see what they did when they were started. So let's see what Peter did. Acts 8 verse 5 and 35. Then Philip went down to the city of Samaria and preached Christ to them. Verse 35. Then Philip opened his mouth and beginning at the Then Philip opened his mouth and beginning at this scripture, he preached Jesus to him. So sorry, I said initially I mentioned Peter. Sorry, it was rather Philip. Do not debate or argue about sports than Jesus and his gospel. So do you debate rampantly, concurrently, intermittently, instantaneously on football matches with friends than preaching the gospel of Christ? Now, point 4. not to spend more time reading about sports or football than reading God's word. Acts 17 verse 11. Acts 17 verse 11. Berea Church of Christ. Let's see what the members did. That they were more noble. These were more noble-minded than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind, and searched the scriptures daily to see whether these things were so. Now, let's go to Psalms 119, verse 97. Psalms 119. 119, verse 97. Psalm 119, verse 97. Oh how I love your law. It is my meditation all the day. Psalm 119, verse 113. I hate the double-minded, but I love your law. Same Psalm 119, verse 163. I hate and abhor falsehood, but I love your law. All is law. Which law? The Bible. Or what we can read from the Bible. Not to spend more time reading about sports or football than reading God's word. 5. Do not forsake the assembling of the saints to attend or watch football match. Hebrews 10:25. Forsake not the assembling. Do you boycott or do you decide not to go to church to go and watch football? Point 6. Do not have a divided attention at church due to a football match. Matthew 6, verse 24. Some are in churches, they are praying to God, they are worshiping God, they are singing, some are even teaching and preaching, and their minds are on football. So Matthew 6, verse 24. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and words. So here, let's replace the words with sports. Of course it is words, because at the end you are going to take a bet. Some will be taking bets, so at the end they will get money. Some will say you can't serve both God and mammon. So here is words. I found in King James version, of course, in the 1st century. No divided attention. Now, point 7. Prohibit the references to sports to be a distraction to others during worship services. John 4, verse 24. Prohibit the references to sports to be a distraction to others during worship services. Of course, I will explain. John 4:24. I find this presentation so cheap and then interesting. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Psalms 122, verse 1. I was glad when they said to me, let us go to the house of the Lord. So here I said that prohibit the references to sports to be a distraction to others during worship services. Some are in churches, then they will be taking bets because there is an ongoing match. And once you on your phone, someone might be distracted by also staring at it. Prohibit the references to sports to be a distraction to others during worship services. We worship God in truth. God is spirit, and those who worship Him must worship Him in spirit and in truth. Are you worshiping God in spirit and in truth? While your mind is on betting on a football match, so per every second you call it fidgeting with the phone. You see that the person is continually, perpetually fidgeting with the phone because he is trying to check whether he's winning or losing. Point 8. Do not be described by others as one who eats, drink, and sleeps for sports. Colossians 3, verse 1 and 2. I will prove every point today. Whatever I say, I will quote, at least, to prove myself. So Colossians 3, verse 1 and 2. If you then were raised with Christ, seek those things that are above, where Christ is sitting at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above, not on things on the earth. Do not be described by others as one who eats, drinks, and sleeps, and sleeps for sports. That once you buy yourself this, I'll hire a room, I'll buy TV, this and that. All your vision is the earth. And as a Christian, your mind must be things on the above. Point 9. Do not get so worked up over sports to become obnoxious or cannot function. First text verse 8 to 12. First Peter, if you want to say Peter, chapter 3, 3 verse 8 to 12. First Peter. So First Peter 3, verse 8 to 12. Your adornment, verse 8, sorry. So 3 verse 8. Finally, all of you be of one mind, having compassion one for another, love as brethren, be kind-hearted, humble. Verse 9. Do not render evil for evil or insult for insult, but instead blessing, knowing that you were called to do this, so that you might inherit a blessing. 10. For he who would love life and see good days, let him refrain his tongue from evil and his lips that they speak no deceit. Verse 11. Let him turn away from evil and do good. Let him seek peace and pursue it. Verse 12. For the eyes of the Lord are toward the righteous, and his ears are open to their prayers. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. So here we are saying that do not get so worked up over sports to become obnoxious if you want, or cannot function. Someone who can function. Now, point 10. Do not bet money on sports that contribute to God. Matthew 6, verse 33. Seek ye first. 2 Corinthians 9, verse 7. For God loves a cheerful giver. Let's prove in case it is true or not. 2 Corinthians 9, verse 7. Let each one give according as he purposes in his heart, not grudgingly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. Do not bet money on sports that contribute to God. Last point being the point 11. One must not allow sport to become an idol. Do not allow football to become an idol. A stumbling block that will keep you out of heaven. Ephesians 3 verse 5. So football should not be a gap or an idol between your heaven. Colossians 3 verse 5. Therefore, put to death your members that are on the earth: fornication, uncleanness, passion, evil desire, and covetousness, which is adultery. So covetousness is adultery. Desiring football in your heart is covetousness, and covetousness is adultery. Here we mention passion. Your passion, you are so passionate about football. Therefore, it becomes your God. That's why I said that football is a God that people worship. When you are passionate on something or about something, that thing becomes your stumbling block. It becomes your God, an idol of worship or an idol of worship. And of course, you're going to have an evil desire. So the passion plus evil desire will be called to covetousness. That's the Bible saying that covetousness is adultery. Why? Because there's a passion in, and there's also an evil desire in there. These are the 11 points of which a football can be a sin. We are on gambling and lottery. So gambling is the same as lottery. So what is gambling? You look at 6 major areas of the Bible conflicting with gambling. So gambling. Now introduction. The word gambling and lottery are not found in the Bible. Yes. There is no way in the Bible that you can find a specific Bible quotation that gambling and lottery are not found. Are sinful. No. But neither the words abortion, drugs, and homosexuality. All these words too are not found in the Bible. However, they are all condemned in many passages, such as 1 Timothy 1 verse 9, 1 John 3 verse 15, Galatians 5 verse 19 to 21, and Romans 1 verse 26 to 32. No one passage states thou shalt not gamble. No. No passage is saying that thou shalt not gamble. However, the Bible is not a book of fantasies. The Bible is not a book of fantasies. Now, fantasies means imagination unrestricted by reality. Imagination unrestricted by reality, or something many people believe is false. The Bible isn't a book of fantasies. If God has dealt with everything in life in this way, we could not haul the scriptures around. Yes. We can't know the scriptures at all. The Bible has many direct commands, but it also has many divinely given principles on which we are to base our walk of life. Gambling violates several of the biblical principles and is therefore sinful. Gambling violates several of these biblical principles and is therefore sinful. 2 of my introduction. I prefer to introduce before I define. Gambling is a sin, and it is a sin to participate in the country's or state's lottery. So at times we are what to call American lottery. Someone might have won and travel abroad. I don't know why. Everyone is traveling abroad. And let me use this to correct an error. We don't find happiness in works, in travel. In Ghana, all are migrating to abroad. I don't know why. I'm not saying that traveling outside for a better life is wrong. Even in the Bible, you must work, live a happy life. But will not lead to salvation. So those who are struggling so hard, tirelessly, to accumulate money, I want to travel, to live good. If you die, you die, my friend. During the COVID era, we have white professors being, white men who were doctors, renowned international doctors, they died or they were killed by COVID. Where you want to run to, they are also suffering there. So greener pasture is not always found in someone's country. Some have gone there becoming perpetually slaves, and they live by hiding. So as you see me, I don't fancy to travel outside. I'm still hoping on God to give me a better work to do. I can live my life here in Ghana so peacefully, and then I'll go to my heaven for free. So you are hereby informed that you can live a responsible life wherever you are. Now there are some news speculated everywhere. In fact, now the whole world is condemning education. The whole world. So those who have some small money, small monies, they see that education is useless. Or to go to school to acquire certificates is useless. Fine, no problem with that. But no country will develop through illiteracy. Some are abroad and they are cleaners. How possible? Now, do you compare cleaning the toilets to someone having a diploma in education or someone having a diploma? You have to clean the toilets, and you see it to be better than going to school. Who told you that? Who taught you that? And who told you that? It is only a fool. It is only a fool who will follow this. I, the father, will never ever support this rubbish that officially I should teach my students to shun their learning, to become musicians, to act, to go and clean the toilets. Never ever will I say this to them. They must go to school and acquire sex. I see that academic certificate is more important than cleaning the toilets or being a cleaner elsewhere. Of course, I'm too wise to be brainwashed and then to be fooled by people who are illiterate. Unfortunately, when the illiterate makes money, he becomes so arrogant and proud, and therefore the vengeance is to condemn illiteracy. My friend, let me officially let you know that there are people in Ghana who are more richer than some renowned billionaires or some white men. Not all will showcase their wealth, and not all will come out. In fact, the intellectual, anyone who is intellectual, will not come out to debate with someone who is an illiterate. Never, never ever. So if you are online fooling, polluting the media, that's cleaning or traveling abroad is better than going to school in Ghana. No professor, no intellectual will have time to hold the stage to counter-attack because you are in perpetual darkness. But unfortunately, they send their words to school. We have some white men who also work in Ghana here. So what do you mean by that? We have some white men who are working and living in Ghana, in different African continents, or different African countries. We have, even in Ghana here, if you go to the mining sectors, we have white men who are living here and they are working here. Why are they here? By qualification. No white man will come to Africa to be a cleaner because he comes here with stronger academic background. And we the blacks, because we are poor and we are always begging, we run to store away. They will say store away. In fact, we don't even say store away. Store away to go there to clean. And by God's grace, when they are considered, when they are pardoned by some disappointed white lady to marry them and get them sex, they come to be there to brag. I have this, it's more than this and this and that. No white man will come to Ghana to be a cleaner. In case you are unaware, no white man will travel from his country to Africa to clean or to hike to survive. Never ever. And even if they are here to do some minor work, that one is better than to clean the toilet of a black man. But because we are so lazy and indolent, if you want a creature who is so lazy, then it is a black man, precisely from Ghana, will sneak his or her way, maneuver by evil means to go abroad. And when he makes money through that evil means, he comes out to brag, to condemn illiteracy. Nothing grows in illiteracy. Nothing is invented through illiteracy. And all those who are condemning academic education in Ghana, some schooled here before they went there. They are using phones to record. How did you know it? By education. They can write their names and they can sign by education. At least you attended the school in Ghana here before you went there to continue or discontinue your education. So I sitting here, I believe in education, and I'll spend my money to acquire academic sets in Ghana than to travel outside to go and clean the toilets, to record videos, to insult. In the Bible, we are going to account for every careless word that we issued from our mouth during the judgment day. So if a young man listen to me, be reasonable and sensible that the media is deceptive. That's why we say that the God of this age, the media is an example of 2 Corinthians 4 verse 4a, that Satan has blindfolded. Yes, of course, because if you are at your right senses, how on earth will you value business over education? How possible? Business can collapse. Business is a hobby. Can collapse at any time, unexpectedly. But for education, it becomes an everlasting property. So instead of giving your children properties, give them pen. So as you see me, I prefer pen over money or building. I prefer pen. Yes, I prefer pen over money and then buildings. All right, enough of that. We move on. Of course, I hate illiterates because they speak anyhow. You see, they speak without thinking, so they don't have time for those things. And there's no way I use my data to watch a useless things on the media. I don't even go to media to watch a useless things anyway. So we say that gambling is a sin, and it is a sin to participate in the country's lottery. So in case you have gone to US by filling the lottery, you are a gambler and you are a sinner. Avoid dishonest gain. To promote, sell, or buy lottery tickets involves one in that which violates the law of God. So you say that a lottery is gambling, and gambling is sin. A lottery is gambling, and gambling is sin. So if you have filled American lottery that you have won it, however you won it, it is gambling, and gambling is a sin. The principle by which all men are to live involves an honest work ethic. The principle by which all men are to live involves an honest work ethic. Already I've read in Ephesians 4 verse 28. Let him that steal, let him that stole steal no more. So steal no more. Work, labor with your hands, that thing which is good, to feed the weak. And Proverbs 13 verse 11 is saying that avoid dishonest gain. Avoid dishonest gain. Wealth gained through dishonesty will diminish. But he who regardeth will accomplish much. The very nature of gambling seeks to take advantage of others by taking what they have for your own. Yes, to by forcefully convert and to take from someone. So a lottery is not an honest day's work for an honest day pay. A lottery is not an honest day's work for an honest day pay. Avoid dishonest gain by gambling. So definitions of gambling and the lottery. Of course, it will also involve betting. Now, the dictionary defines gambling as to play a game of chance for money or other stakes, to wager money or other stakes on an uncertain outcome, to expose something or value to a risk or hazard in the advantage of game. So here we say that maybe I can use my phone or maybe my laptop, let's put our laptops on. If this person wins, they take my laptop. So it's a form of gambling. Or by virtue of money, to donate, or I say to donate, to cast out your money on something which you don't know about the outcome. So you predict by assumption that when this team wins, then it means I've also gained this money. Now, a separate definition of gambling would be desiring the possession or prize of another. That's all. So to desire the possession or the prize of another. The gambler creates a risk. We mean losing his own possession. Yes, some can even gamble with cars, with their companies and others, in an attempt through the chance to gain the possession of another with nothing given in exchange. I repeat, the gambler creates a risk in an attempt through the chance to gain the possession of another with nothing given it. Yes, some will not even struggle at all. Okay, yeah, some will not. In fact, some will put something there, some will not put something there. Let's do this. If I win, you take it. And if you win too, you take it. So some, not all will invest in gambling. Some will invest, some will not invest in an attempt to the chance to gain the possession of another with nothing given in exchange. Now we are still on gambling. Gambling is a greedy desire to have what belongs to another. It's a greedy desire. Some will even go on for that to gamble with a partner. Some can go on for that to gamble with a partner. Now, gambling is to bet on an uncertain outcome out of a contest, of course, already I've explained, as defined by American Heritage Dictionary, that gambling is to bet on an uncertain outcome out of a contest. So competition. I mean, football is an example. Now, gambling takes many forms. So we have card games, we have dice, we have numbers, we have betting on elections or sporting events, for example, the football. We have buying stakes, tickets, lotteries, and play slot machines. Some are playing cards, dice, drafts, a whole lot. And even gambling, sometimes they can use a chicken to fight, fowl. Two will fight and then the mass will gamble. If this one wins, then the money is taken. Now, Jesus said A tree is known by its fruit. Matthew 7 verse 15. A tree is known by its fruit. Let's see something here. Matthew 7 verse 15. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. What are the fruit of gambling? What are the fruit of gambling? Now, gambling conflicts with the Bible in at least 6 major areas. 1, earning a living through righteous means. Ephesians 4 verse 20 is saying that the thief which has been stealing should stop and now work. But gambling is saying no. 2, loving your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 7 verse 12. Same thing is seen in Matthew 22 verse 39. Let's read. Matthew 7 verse 12. Therefore, all things whatever you want men to do to you, even so do also to them. We call this the golden rule. But gambling is not so. The purpose of gambling is to take by force someone's belonging. So it is also against love your neighbor. Now, shunning the appearance of evil. Bible is saying that we should shun all appearance of evil. Thessalonians 5 verse 22. Romans 12 verse 9. Romans 12 verse 9. Romans 12 verse 9. Romans 12 verse 9. Okay. Let love be without hypocrisy. Abhor what is evil, cling to what is good. 1 Thessalonians, sorry. 5 verse 22. Verse 22. Abstain from all appearances of evil. I think you can see the same thing in James 1 verse 27. Let's see if it is true. James 1 verse 27. Let's see if it is true. James 1 27. Pure and undefiled religion before God and the Father is this: to take care of the orphans and widows in their afflictions, and to keep oneself unspotted from the world. Okay, so our interest will be on the 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 22. So you see that a gambling does not shun the appearance of evil. Now, point 4, Christians still worship. 1 Corinthians 16 verse 1 and 2, 2 Corinthians 9 verse 6 and 7. That throughout the week, gather. So that when a brethren meet to worship, then you can give. But gambling is against this. Point 5, showing a Christ-like example. Romans 12 verse 17. Romans 12 verse 17. Romans 12 verse 17. Repay to no one evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. Yes, so gambling is dishonest gain already. And of course, it is a give and take. 10. God's plan for the home. Yes, gambling will also ruin the home. Ephesians 5 verse 23 to 31. 6 verse 1 to 4. Now, gambling is a greedy desire to get something for nothing at the expense of the loser. It is not an innocent pastime or fundraiser. It is covetousness. Covetousness is idolatry. And idolatry is sin. Ephesians 3 verse 5. Gambling in any form is wrong and sinful. It was not given by God. It is not authorized by God. It stands condemned by God. Gambling in any form is wrong and sinful. It was not given by God. It was not authorized by God. It stands condemned by God. We are on lottery. The word lottery signifies a drawing of lots in which prizes are distributed to the winners among persons by a chance. So there's a role. Okay, so for example, we are looking for 15 and 20. So if we get two numbers to fall within your stake, that means you have win. Now something that is regarded as a chance. Now players buy chances and prizes are distributed by casting lots. Lotteries are one of the many forms of gambling. Now let me go back and then create something here. That the word lottery signifies a drawing of lots. LOTS to segments in which prizes are distributed to the winners among persons by a chance. Now something that is regarded as a chance. So lotto is by chance. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. That's all. No one cares. Now players buy chances and prizes, and they are distributed by casting lots. That's all. Lotteries are one of the many forms of gambling. Gambling is defined as the act of playing for stakes in the hope of winning. This includes the payment of a prize for a chance to win a prize. Now it is the act of risking what is yours in order to get what belongs to another with nothing in return. That's all. Now gambling preys, Preys, preys upon the greed, selfishness, and covetousness of those who play. Yes. The Bible plainly says, "Thou shalt not covet." So Romans 13 verse 9. Covetousness is idolatry. Colossians 3 verse 5. It's repeatedly now been mentioned. Lotteries are becoming more and more popular as states are seeking additional sources of revenue. Yes. In fact, more money is generated from lotteries or gambling. So we have some countries who have developed or they have grown in money. They have had money. Some companies have gotten more money all because of betting and then the gambling. The lottery, if you want to put. Gambling is a big business, generating more revenue than movies, in case you are unaware. Spectator sports, theme parks, cruise ships, and recorded music combined. So gambling is making more money than the movie industry, the music industry, people who have some boat for hiring that you should go hire to cruise and others. Gambling fetches more money than all these things. So musicians are not getting money than the gambling companies or the gamblers. Lotteries are a means of gambling, and gambling is wrong, dead wrong. Gambling, in whatever form it takes, is sin. It violates every principle of truth, equity, and honesty. There is not one good thing that can be said of gambling. In spite of arguments made to say the profit will be used for education or some other good cause, it remains a dishonest game and damnable venture. Romans 3 verse 8. I first mentioned that if you're a cocaine dealer and you are caught, if you are trafficking girls for sex trades, if you are trafficking human parts and you are caught, no matter your charity, you still be imprisoned. No law in this life will permit that cocaine dealers should be scot free or because he's building community center, no, or he's building school, no. You go to jail. So whether you are a gambler, you have used your money to pay someone's school fees, it is still a sin. You will die and go to hell at the end. Bible is saying that do not do evil for good to come out of it. Romans 8, 3 verse 8. Do not do evil for good to come out of it. And unfortunately, most gamblers are Christians and unbelievers as well. Now see, we are on betting. Now it is preoccupied with the pursuit of pleasure and especially games of chances. Yes, you are preoccupied as you enjoy the show. You cheer, you clap, you drink, you insult, you debate, you argue. At times you even fight. And then, of course, at the end, if you win, you have won. If you lose, you have lost. That's all. 2 or II, which is the money risk on gambling. To bet means to risk money in gambling. That's all. Now we go to 11 reasons why gambling or lottery is sinful. Now here you go to condemn it entirely. 1. It involves one who is a winner, but only at the expense of others who participate, being losers. So one will win, one will lose. And the winner is always sad and has some rebellious mind to avenge. And the winner is always happy. The fact that others are willing participants does not matter. 2 or more people agreeing to steal does not make it right. Yeah, so we don't care if 2 or more have agreed to participate. It is still sinful. 2 or more people agreeing to commit fornication does not make it right. Whether you are below 18 years or above 18 years, gambling is a sin. You will die and go to hell at the end. And at the end, you'll be poor, in case you're unaware. You see, I came here some years ago, and I saw people who were into lottery. Now, their lives are so miserable. Some have even run away from their posts because they are being haunted. Now, 2, those who participate in a lottery or gambling are not good stewards of the possessions God has given them. Moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. 1 Corinthians 4 verse 2. 1 Corinthians 4 verse 2. Moreover, it is required of stewards that one be found trustworthy. Now, gambling appeals to one's greed, selfishness, and covetousness. And once again, the Bible is saying that it is a sin and covetousness. In Romans 18 verse 9, as said earlier, and then Colossians 3 verse 5. Now, 3. Why gambling is a sin? Please, once again, gambling is same as the lottery. So I'll be using the word interchangeably. Point 4. No point. Participating in gambling for a good cause does not change the sinfulness of it. Romans 3 verse 8 already have said it. If you desire to help a good cause, then give them a donation. Gambling involves a roulette wheel, card games, dice, numbers, horse or dog races, slot machines, elections. Even an election can lead to a gambling. Sweepstakes, tickets, sporting events, sporting or sport pools, punch boards, bingo, banco, raffle tickets, buying chances, cake walks, matching coins, pitching pennies. All these are forms of gambling. Now, point 4, it violate the golden rule of doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. Matthew 7 verse 12. Luke 6 verse 31. What you expect, do to your neighbor. But gambling leads to exploitation. So whether you die or not, you don't care. Jesus said, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22 verse 39. Romans 13 verse 10. In gambling, the object is to try to take advantage of the other party. That's all. One winner, one loser. The winner is happy, the loser is sad, sometimes broken-hearted. To beat them out of profit. That's all. It is exploitive of others, as mentioned earlier. One cannot gamble to hurt others and follow the teachings of Christ. It means you're an antichrist. Only antichrist will gamble. Point 5. It is a dishonest gain. Proverbs 13 verse 11. Gambling is stealing. Ephesians 4 verse 28. Then once again, we are saying that the scripture teach our possessions come from the Father in heaven, and that everything ultimately belongs to Him. Psalms 50 verse 10 to 12. Everything we have, crops, money, wealth, everything is from God. So when one squanders his money through gambling, he has not squandered what is his, but has squandered that which God has made him a steward. So once again, the gambling violates the stewardship role. Of course, already I've mentioned the stewardship in 1 Corinthians 4 verse 2. But here we are using Luke 12 verse 42. Let's see something here. Luke 12 42, that it violates the principle of stewardship. Look, I can repeat the same thing twice. Of course, doesn't matter. Take yours and then delete the rest. Luke 12. Luke 12 verse 42. Then the Lord said, who then is that faithful and wise steward, whom his Lord will make ruler over his household, to give them their portion of food at the proper time? So it violates the principle of stewardship. We mean to take care of what is given you, to give account in future. Now, whatever God blesses us with must be used wisely to His glory and honor. One cannot gamble and be a good steward of things with which he has been blessed. Of course, it is all to earn. For example, you have been given money. You are using the same money for gambling. So let's say that God has given you money. Now you are rich. You have been blessed by God. But you have been using your money to gamble. It is a sin. It means you are a bad steward. Now, 8. It contradicts the work ethic taught in the scriptures. The word of God teaches that men are to work for earnings they receive. 2 Corinthians, 2 Thessalonians, 3 verse 10. Let's see something here. From here, you go to Adam. You will see what God told him to do. 2 Corinthians, 2 Thessalonians, 3 verse 10. For even when we were with you, we commanded you this, that if anyone is not willing to work, neither let him eat. The hands that do not work will not eat or shall not eat. Now Genesis 2 verse 15, then 3 verse 17. Genesis 2 verse 15, I read. The Lord God took the man and put him in the garden of Eden to work it and keep it, to work. Now, let's see when the couples were sacked. Let's see what happened again. So Genesis 3 verse 15. No, 17, sorry. And to Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you, in pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. So this means that Adam was going to read. He was to survive from working. The attitude behind gambling is to get rich quickly and easily at someone else's expense. Yes, so the person will sit down, no labor, will take the bets and then will win. This attitude does not follow the teaching of the scripture. 9. It results in a lack of self-control. So Galatians 5:22 and 23. 2 Peter 1 verse 6. You see self-control there. It results in lack of self-control because you are indisciplined. Of course, that's why you are gambling. 10. It is a form of covetousness. Of course, this has been repeated. But here, now I want to explain the word covet. Means eager to have more. That is to have what belongs to others. Hence, greedy of gain. So the person is having something. The person is rich. He wants to be richer and richest, into billionaire, and then into a higher level. So he wants more, eager to have more, regardless of how large or small the stakes are. Covetousness is the basis of gambling. Now Jesus said, beware and be on guard against every form of greed. Luke 12 verse 15. Beware of greed. Luke 12 verse 15. Then he said to them, take heed and beware of all covetousness, for a man's life does not consist in the abundance of the things that he possesses. Beware of greed. Then the last one, it sets a bad example before others. We are the salt of the earth. So Matthew 5 verse 13 through 16. You are the salt of the earth. The salt is to preserve the corrupt world. So you lose your salt and then your light. And the light must shine among or amidst the darkness. So you say that it sets a bad example before others. One must be concerned about his influence on what is good and right. Yes. Once you are in some people, or maybe some audience, at least, there must be some kind of influence. Your nature must reflect. They must see Christ in you. That indeed you are a Christian. So that's the end of the 11 reasons to prove that gambling is a sin. Alright, we are now on the next point. The 12 hazards and consequences of gambling and betting. 12 hazards. 1. The person becomes indolent. Now, gamblers are so lazy. Most are so lazy. They have even lost interest in going to work. Of course, can stay elsewhere by data and then will bet. So the first is indolence. 12 hazards and consequences of gambling. B. Stealing. Ephesians 4 verse 20. Most are thieves, so you become a thief. So you become lazy because at times you have to wait. Precisely those who do monthly work. You wait until the whole month before you are paid. At times your pay will even cross to the next month, 5th, also before you are paid. So they see it to be so prolonged. For gambling, if you win today, you go for it. They see that gambling money is even more sustainable than the monthly salary. Addiction. It has made most people junkies. And already I've explained who a junkie is, so I'll not waste my time. Or once again, in case you join, a junkie is someone who is so ardently devoted to something that it resembles an addiction. So we have an addiction here. Point 4, covetousness, greed, extreme greed. So gambling is a covetousness based on greed, which breeds dishonesty, deceit, drug abuse, prostitution, and inordinate love for manipulations. 3 verse 5 and Proverbs 13 verse 11. Once again, covetousness, we mean gambling is covetousness based on greed, which breeds dishonesty. No gambler is honest. You give me your money for safekeeping. Oh, then before you go for it, the person has used for gambling. Deceit, drug abuse are all there. Prostitution is there, and inordinate love for money. Point 5, it makes people live a money-centered life. 1 Timothy 6 verse 6 to 10. It makes people live a money-centered life. That their life, people think that their salvation is even based on money. 1 Timothy 6 verse 6. 1 Timothy 6 verse 6 to 10. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. Verse 8. If we have food and clothing, with this let us be content. Verse 9. But those who want to be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and many foolish and harmful lusts that drown men in ruin and destruction. Verse 10. For the love of money is the root of all evils, by which some converting after have strayed from the faith and pierced themselves with many souls. Yes, this is clearly indicated. Gambling is a form of entertainment that robs the poor, corrupts the national character, and erodes the moral fiber of our nation or nations. And of course, it's true. All the leaders are corrupt. They take bets. Some presidents can go on for that to take bets so that his country will lose a match. Yes. He will take some money. Now, this is what they do. For example, 2 teams are playing. And by all means, we are all aware that Team A will score Team B. So, the manager, or let's say country A, will score country B, by all means. So, the country's president or the football coach or manager can go to some betting campaign to be paid of some money, because Team B, if a Team B should lose, all betting companies will also lose, because they are quite aware that Team A will score Team B, and all will bet on Team A. So therefore, they will prefer that the Team A, the president from the Team A, the coach or the manager, will go to them for money, and then Team A will lose at the end, so that it will turn the opposite. So, whilst we all thought that Team B will lose, rather Team A has lost. How possible? It means there was some gambling underground, and the person has been paid off. So he talked to the players that they must lose the match. And when they lose, the betting companies will win a lot because all the focus was against Team B and now has turned upside down. And of course, this could be national team, World Cup and others. Number 6, anxiety and depression. We are on 12 hazards and consequences of gambling and betting. Anxiety and depression. When you take bets and the match is not over, you cannot rest. You can never rest. You are officially anticipating. At times, you fear that, and you are. Some will even call that they should end the match because in case they score, then he will lose his bet. It is anxiety. Anticipating for something in anxiousness is called anxiety. Then depression. See that you are so sad, all because you are down by a goal, or the time is almost near. Already you have lost, so you are depressed. 7, divorce. Some will be divorced. I mean, some couples will end their marriage because the wife is a gambler, the husband is a gambler, and there's no way I will marry a gambler because she will use all my money on gambling or on betting. If the man too, he will use all his wife's money for betting. We have some women who are richer than their partners, and of course they have given everything to the man, and all what the man can do is to use the money to take bet. At times they will use a car on betting. So divorce. Now financial problems, point 8, including bankruptcy. Some will loot out the whole account for betting, and then at the end he or she will lose everything. So become financially unstable, and then the problems in the house. Number 9, imprisonment. Yeah, some are in jail. Some will go to jail. Some will continue to be in jail because of betting and gambling. Hazards and consequences of gambling and betting. Poor work performance or job loss. Yes, poor work performance. Because the person's mind is on betting. So you don't see him performing at work. As I said earlier, he sees that the monthly salary is even so meager. And now there's gambling to fetch me bigger money without working. We call it effortless efficiency. You don't work much, then you gain. So you see that he becomes so lazy, reluctant to work as he was doing before, all because of gambling. Some will lose their jobs. Some will lose their jobs because you can't go to work with problems. At times, they may even use work money to stake bets, and when you are caught, they will sack you. Point 11, sorry. Hypertension. Heart attack. So some will get a BP. Their BP will arise or will go higher, all because of anxiety. Then number 12, suicide or suicide attempt or suicidal thought. Well, when we say suicide, it means when a person has hanged or killed himself. Number 2, he tried to kill, but didn't to kill himself or to end his life or her life, but he or she didn't succeed. And then the mind is filled with to commit a suicide. Maybe the person is owing. He has used some borrowed money or someone's money to stake bet, and at the end he has lost or she has lost. What message is he going to tell the person? So the person that he will kill himself and then die. That's why. It could be an institutional money when the person will use all to bet. Greed for money, and at the end he will lose. And when he loses, the best is that he has to end his life. Please, once again, I want to check my camera and see. Okay, so by summarizing the last point, being the point 12, we have suicide, suicide attempt or suicidal thought. Now, suicide is when someone has killed himself, and suicide attempt is when the person has tried, maybe didn't succeed, and then the suicidal thought is when the person is suffering psychologically. Means that though he is there as we see as a normal human being, but any moment he can end his or her life. All these are hazards in gambling. Now we move on to the last part. The 7 rehabilitation for overcoming football, gambling, and betting as a junkie. Already I have explained junkie. That a junkie is not always about someone who is drug addict, but someone who is so ardent and of course is addictive to something. For example, the football and the gambling. So I have 7 rehabilitation for overcoming football, gambling, and betting as a junkie. 1, flee loving the world. Flee loving the world. And of course, 1 John 2, verse 15 to 16. Flee loving the world. Distract yourself. Point 2. Distract yourself from through regular Bible studies. Distract yourself through regular Bible studies. Now, Psalm 1, verse 2, quickly I will read. Distract yourself. So distraction will help. Psalm 1, verse 2. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. So read the Bible day and night. We mean continuously and intermittently. So by doing this, you distract yourself. Of course, when you are reading the Bible, Satan fears the Bible. I mean, the word of God. So once he sees that you are preoccupied reading the Bible, he will vanish and will not waste time to come, because officially all what he's bringing has been combated, have been condemned already by the Bible. I'm making reference to his vices, to gamble, to do this, to do that. All have been condemned by the Bible. Now, point 3, self-control. Self-control. And self-control, we mean exercise self-control to keep the body in control. 1 Corinthians 9, verse 25 to 27. Self-control is the 3rd rehabilitation to overcome someone who is addicted in football, gambling, and betting. Self-control. Exercise self-control to keep the body in control. Point 4. Avoid dishonest gain. Avoid dishonest gain. Wealth gained through dishonesty will diminish. Let him that stole steal no more, working or laboring with his hands that which is good, to help the needy. So Proverbs 13, verse 11, and then Ephesians 4, verse 28. Avoid dishonest gain. Clearly indicated. Then point 5. We are on point 5. No, we are point 5. Keep your life free from the love of money and be content. Hebrews 13, verse 5. There's a church ongoing, of course, distracting my teachings. Hebrews 13, verse 5, A and B. Let your behavior be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have. Keep your life free from the love of money and be content. Once again, people are rushing to travel. Everyone is looking for money by all means possible. I don't know why. Salvation is not found in wealth. I'm traveling abroad, winning lottery, buying mansions, buying cars, using latest technological gadgets will never give you salvation. Keep your life free from the love of money and be content. That's all. When you have something to eat, it is enough. Point 6. Keep the heart diligently, because it determines issues of life. Keep the heart diligently. Proverbs 4, verse 23. 4, verse 23. Keep your heart with all vigilance, free for from it flow the spring of life. Keep the heart diligently because it determines issues of life. So this is from King Solomon. Then, point 7, walk circumspectly as wise, not a fool. Ephesians 5, verse 15. Be careful how you walk as wise, not a fool. Now let's try to understand it by A and B. Now, A, the Apostle Paul has demanded of disciples to walk as wise men. It is not an option for us. It is not an option for us. So if Paul had advised some to walk in wisdom, we are also to walk in wisdom. The Greek word akribos, so circumspectly, in Greek word is akribos. It depicts diligently perfect. Diligently perfect. He urged his brethren to be vigilant with socialization. Be careful how you walk. Be careful how you walk as wise. Not a fool means that. Be careful of whom you socialize with. At times, some are together because of friends. Influence. B. The Latin word circumspect signifies looking round about, examining, surveying, or searching for. So circumspect, even as the Latin word, means that looking round about. Round about. So you can say 360 degrees. Examining. You try to scrutinize and see. Surveying. You do research. I mean the environment. Or searching for, as if you are looking for something, as if something of yours has gotten missing and you are looking for it. That's inspect. So this means that you have to inspect, be vigilant. Be vigilant means be watchful to avoid possible danger and be able to discern enemies before they get closer. If you are vigilant, if you are someone who is watchful, it means you should be able to segregate between a good friend and then a bad friend. Before they come near, you have judged them, justified them based on their characteristics, what they eat, what they drink, how they speak. By attitude, you should be able to justify. Walk with the gospel and with wisdom than folly. Walk with the Bible than foolishness. So foolishness is that you want to venture into gambling to gain. And of course, at the end, they call themselves men. You see someone who has hired a room through gambling, bought a phone through gambling, gotten a car through gambling, built a house through gambling. I mean, bought a TV through gambling. And then he brags amidst men. When I say men, I mean people who have worked to attain something that now I also live in this state. I also have this. I also have this. It means that the person has gotten it through dishonest gain. It is a sin. And you die and go to hell at the end. Now conclusion. Sorry. Conclusion, application, and lessons. 1. The love of money traps. The love of money traps, enslaves, and misleads. Already you have read it in 1 Timothy 6 verse 10 that some have pierced themselves. Let's see if you can read it quickly. 1 Timothy 6 verse 10. For the love of money is the root of all evil, by which some, converting after, have strayed from the faith and pierced themselves with many sorrows. The love of money traps, enslaves, and misleads. It will mislead you. Money will mislead you one day. Money. Some will follow money until they die. Money will one day mislead you because you have put your hope, your trust, and faith in money. That financial security even suggests that people should respect you. 2. He who sows to the flesh will of the flesh reap corruption. So, if you sow to the flesh, if you are carnal, thinking that all that greatest is to make money in life, you are sowing to the flesh and to corruption. Now, point 3. Do not do evil for good to come out of it. As now, I've been hammering almost in all my points. Romans 3 verse 8. Do not do evil for good to come out of it. So you can't take or be a gambler and then think that you have prospered. No. Now, point 4. You should not follow the crowd to do evil. Exodus 23 verse 2. You shall not follow a crowd to do evil. Point 5. So don't follow the world to take bets, to watch football. They will mislead you. Of course, they are misleading you into a sin. You shall not follow the crowd to do evil. Now, point 5. Our choices and freedom should still be guided by submission to God. Romans 14 verse 8. Our choices, what you choose, and your freedom should still be guided by submission to God. Whatever you do, do it to glorify God. Only God. 1 Corinthians 10 verse 31. You can also read from Colossians 3 verse 17. Whether you eat or you drink, do all to glorify God. Are you glorifying God by watching football? When you're watching football, see how the boys have been behaving. They have been fooling, using foolish words, unwholesome languages there, and you are there, being quiet, all because you are enjoying the football. They are cracking filthy jokes, insulting themselves. They are fighting. Are they glorifying God there? And then the footballers themselves, see their haircut. So you, for example, you will argue that you are in your own room, so there's nothing. After all, I didn't go out. See the way they are dressed, their haircuts, tattooing, and then they are piercing. Are you glorifying God? What you are watching, are you watching to glorify God or to glorify Satan? So we are warned in 1 Corinthians 10 verse 31 and in Colossians 3 verse 17 that whatever you do, do it to the glory of only God. Watching football does not glorify God, and God has never created any footballer in this life, my friend. If you are sinning, keep quiet and sin. Don't use the Bible to sin. It becomes a blasphemy, and God will judge you on that. We are going to be judged by every word, every careless word that you speak. God will judge you at the end. Every careless word. So if you are sinning and trying to justify with the Bible that God created talents, that someone should play football, it is not true, because they live to oppose God. So what do you mean by that? That God will create someone to oppose him in this life? No, it is not true. You are hereby informed that Satan is also wise, and if you are not that vigilant, you'll be deceived. Then point 7, do not be foolish, but follow God's will. Do not be foolish. Ephesians 5 verse 17. Therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is. Do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is. Now, this is as a result of disobedience to the caveat. So when you have refused to walk as wise, be careful how you walk as wise. Not a fool. It's a caveat. Ephesians 5 verse 15. Verse 16. Redeeming the time because the days are evil. Verse 16. Of course, you should be able to discern between friends. We don't make friends anyhow. Utilize the time that they have been wasting. That's the essence of redeeming the time because the days are evil. Be careful so that someone will not deceive you with the philosophy of this world. So all these are caveats. So verse 15 and 16 are caveats. So when you refuse, it's when you are being corrected that therefore do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is. A fool despises wise counsel. Proverbs 1 verse 7. It says that a fool despises wise counsel. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes. The same Proverbs 12 verse 15. Indeed, the fool leans to his own understanding. Proverbs 3 verse 5b. And the fool is wise in his own eyes. Same Proverbs 3 verse 7a. Do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is. So, point 17a has been explained of Ephesians 5 verse 17. Now, let's go to Ephesians 5 verse 17b. But understand what the will of the Lord is. The will of the Lord means doing things right in strict accordance with what only God wants. That's all. But understand what the will of the Lord is in Ephesians 5 verse 17b means that it is doing things right in strict accordance with what only God wants. To acquaint thyself with God's will so that one may know him to glorify, or one may know how to glorify him. When you are closer to God, doing his will means that you are closer to him. It's when you do things to glorify him only. Now, why careful walking as wise? I'm not a fool. So let's try to have some analysis of Ephesians 5 verse 15. Why careful walking? Or why should you walk as wise but not a fool? One, or I, to flee from the ungodly. The Proverbs 4 verse 14 to 17. Proverbs 4 verse 14. Do not enter the path of the wicked, and do not walk in the way of the evil. Verse 15. Avoid it. Do not go on it. Turn away from it and pass on. For they cannot sleep. For they cannot sleep unless they have done wrong. They are robbed of sleep unless they have made someone stumble. So you can continue to verse 17. To flee from the ungodly. That's why you must walk as wise, not a fool. To depart from evil. The same Proverbs 14 verse 16. To depart from evil. Disciples of Jesus Christ must forever leave evil behind. To escape danger. Why you should walk as wise, not a fool, to escape danger. And then IV, to become lights and make the darkness. Philippians 2 verse 15. To become lights and make the darkness. What is darkness? Where the crowd, the Antichrist, the unbelievers have gathered to watch the football match. Or even where you are, to be different from among the rest. Now the last point is saying that all are lawful, but not all are expedient. Please, as a Christian, we are in the world, but not of the world. So we have access to everything. That's not mean that we must like and love everything. God has created the earth as free moral agent to choose good or evil. At the end, he will judge. Hebrews 9:27. It is appointed for man to die once, and after death, judgment. You are judged into either paradise or Tartarus. Luke 16, verse 23. While Lazarus went to the bosom of Abraham, and then the rich man went to Tartarus. Then after the final graduation, those in paradise go to heaven, and those in Tartarus go to hell. Now this brings us to the end of our topic, football, gambling and betting, chapter 6. Now, we have defined football, we have looked at betting, where football can be a sin, depending, in case you don't offend the 11 points, I give you 11 points. If you offend any of them, it means that it is a sin. And no one can obey all the 11 points. If you miss even one of them, it means you have seen football as a god before you, and therefore it is more important to you than going to church. We have also seen or discussed about gambling, 6 major areas of which the gambling conflicts the Bible. We also defined betting. We saw the 12 hazards and consequences of gambling and betting, and then the 7 rehabilitation. We mean how to overcome if you are an addict to gambling. Until then, next week we'll continue with the chapter 7. Piercing and tattoos. Should the Christian get tattooed and pierced? You will see. As we see in footballers, actors, and musicians, should a Christian be pierced or tattooed? Having said that, thank you so much for your time. Once again, my name is Joseph Vata, and my page is Mining for the Truth, which refers to the process of digging to discover the undiluted doctrines of Christ. As a Church of Christ, and I'm using my own data and then everything. Of course, I've not mentioned my local congregation because they are not the ones sponsoring me. And whatever I teach, it is by God's grace, and not that someone has taught me. Until then, bye-bye, and see you next week.